Oh, depending on how things go down, it's now looking like the PS5 Pro is gonna have to be an August or September purchase. I don't like saying that because I don't want to have to do that, but it might have to be that way. So, if the Nintendo Switch comes in May or June, I'm gonna have to get that first, unfortunately. Which is wild because the Analog 3D got delayed to July, and I'm not sure when when I'm gonna be able to get the Super Station 1. Those are the two retro systems I'm getting. But the reason why I want to collect for the PS1 is because I found this PS1 really sad without cables and controllers in a thrift store, and I thought, under $20, I can take care of it. I bought it and said, you know what, PS1, let's give you a home. Yeah, I did that. I did. I do have a PS4 Pro and a PS4. I used to have more PS3 games that I've been massively downscaled because my dad basically either downscaled himself or he took most of even my PS1 games to remember me by PS3 games to remember me by. PS2 is pretty large, but it's not as large. I did downscale my PS4 collection a bit. There are some PS4 games that are like not really that great, like Angry Birds Star Wars I don't have anymore. Or have on my Steam account or digitally, so I'd rather play it there. But I did give two PS4 games to my dad. I got PS5 versions of instead. Horizon Zero Dawn PS4, which I gave the PS4 version to my dad because he wanted it. So I got the PS5 version on discs after beating it on the PS4, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, which I got the PS5 Intergrade version because there were issues about trying to get that running on there. Now, there were a few PS4 games lost. I had Bowen probably took The Last of Us Part 1. I don't know where that is anymore. And The Last of Us Part, 2 is still there, so I'm gonna have to get the PS5 versions of those. And the Shadow of the Colossus, I don't know where that went, so I'm gonna need to buy another copy of that. That's sad. It's like disappeared, and I was gonna play it, but it disappeared, and I was like, what? Why? And now I'm thinking I need to buy that again, but I'm also alongside, so it's just Shadow of the Colossus. I'm gonna get the PS5 versions of Last of Us. I did play Last of Us on PS1 Part 2. I did not want to play on the Pro. Because those two sound like jet engines, and I'm like, the 5 is a lot cooler so it might be able to it might be able to handle Last of Us Part 2 without sounding like a literal jet engine, so that's why I did it on that system. The PS4 discs on that system. As before they started remastering them for PS5, but yeah, if I get the PS5 Pro in September, it's going to be right before my birthday. Right before. Keep in mind, it'll be right before the B-Day. So yeah, expect it to be a B-Day thing. Yeah. That's right. Now, even then, I still have to get the PS5 Pro somehow. Because the PS5 has no CMOS battery replacement in the, that's the problem, is you have to tear apart the console to replace the CMOS battery. There's no CMOS battery replacement slot. The Pro has that. So I told Dad I would let him, as soon as I was able to get a PS5, I would do that. Birthday money might also go towards a PS Portal and DualSense Edge. I might do that, actually. That might happen. But yeah, then you have the Last of Us controller. I bought that, by the way. Coming in the mail. I pre-ordered it. It's going to happen. The problem is, might decide I was going to get the Last of Us HBO show with it, but I was going to probably wait, and I'll have to wait to get that Season 2 and both the steelbooks of both of them because they did make a limited edition steelbook. And I might have to wait to get the steelbooks of, well, you guessed it, the not just The Last of Us, but the actual games The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, since Bone probably gave that to a friend without asking, so... Actually, I think I told him he could. I told him he could do that. He could take that for himself, so I'm gonna need to buy a PS5 copy of that. I also have Shadow of War Definitive Edition recently. I'm gonna get a few other PS4 games. AVGN Adventures with AVGN 8-bit. Good NES version, yes. I'm planning to get AVGN 8-bit with an NES limited run cartridge of AVGN. Not kidding, that is gonna happen. Alongside Doom SNES. Yes, I'm getting a physical copy of the old 2 Doom. That they're gonna put on, one of them they're gonna put on Super Nintendo with the updated version. The original one is gonna be updated with a new controller that's gonna have like the SNES, a new Rumble version of the SNES controller, as well as potentially a id Software design, which is wild. And yes, I am excited for that. And then you have like the upcoming Doom 2 potential. Like somebody saw Doom 2 in that demo disc kiosk, and I'm like, dude, they're gonna put Doom 1 and 2 on. They're gonna put not only add the last levels of Doom 1 on SNES, but they're gonna put Doom 2 on Super Nintendo. Limited run. So those 3 cartridges, the SNES versions of Doom 1 and 2, and the SNES version of, which is going to be through limited run, and the NES AVGN 8-bit version. Those are the retro cartridges I'm going to get. That is from limited run. Don't worry, those will happen, and I will do it. Especially since they're not going to be... Especially since the actual creators greenlit it. Might even go so far as to get the collector's versions of the AVGN 8-bit and Doom 1. Well, maybe not Doom, since they did say it would have the collector's version would be a limited, 666 units because it's Doom. And after all, you fight demons in hell in that one, so they're basically playing on that. So it might just have to be the gunmetal cartridge. However, the AVGN 8-bit game is interesting because that is a new game for Super Nintendo, or the NES. Years later, they made a new spanking game for NES. But yeah, that's going to be talked about later. That'll happen later. I'll talk about that later. What I am going to talk about right now is why I'm gonna have to get the Switch 2 if it comes out earlier. Maybe even before the Analog 3D comes out. See, I have like some money saved, some way to get it. Money saved up, way to get it, whatever. And it's going to happen. So I have to get that first and then get the PS5 Pro. However, even though I could just stick with my PS5 and get all the PSVR with like all the other accessories instead, even a larger storage, I personally, the CMOS battery replacement slot is the only reason why I'm looking at getting a PS5. Because PS5 Slim and Normal do not have a CMOS battery replacement. The Pro does, and that is important. I know it's more expensive than the PS5, but I have no choice if I'm gonna make sure that my PS5 games have longevity. So yeah, I'm gonna need to get the Pro eventually. One way or another, the Pro has a CMOS battery replacement, and that will prevent your system from dying. You can replace it with a new CMOS battery and order it online. And if push comes to shove, I'm going to basically order a bunch of CMOS batteries just for the PS5 alone. But yeah, I've done a CMOS battery thing on the replacement for the game, something like that. I did have to like hotwire a new speaker to my Game Boy Color I got recently once a few years ago, but yeah, and then all my Game Boy games disappeared. Just sad. Except for that one Mario game. So I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of new Game Boy games eventually if I want to get the analog pocket. If I'm impressed with the state of like the Game Log 3D. Because I have a lot of N64 games that are waiting, even Japanese ones I got recently, that I have to use the Game Shark to play. That is waiting to be played on the analog 3D. But as for the PS5 Pro, I do have some Xbox games though, but I'm thinking I might decide to let Bowen have the Xbox. I was thinking I was going to let Bowen have the Xbox, and I was just going to buy all the Xbox games physically that I physically had on the PlayStation. But I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen anymore, because I did make a premature prediction, so I'm going to wait for the actual Xbox handheld to be announced to determine whether or not it'll succeed or not. But I do think the PlayStation handheld will probably beat the Xbox handheld due to PlayStation's better market share. As the Xbox fans. Still, I mean, they're putting Halo on their PlayStation and Switch handhelds, which is wild. But even then, I'm thinking, I'm more interested. I'm thinking, I might just get those PlayStation games anyway, physically on PlayStation 5 or 4 after a while, and I might keep the Xbox version just in case. But yeah, anyways, aside from that, I am interested in playing. I did have Mass Effect on PS4. That disappeared too. Why do these games disappear? Anyways, that's the thing, right? I am looking forward to playing. I do want to play Mass Effect, don't worry. I'm going to do a blind let's play of that too, just like with Dark Souls, but, I have a huge backlog I need to play, but I was thinking, you guys want me to do a Retro Friday or a Retro CAA thing? If I do a Let's Play channel one day, alongside my actual, learning how to code and learning, hold on. I'm gonna need to move this right now. How much charge is this phone? 16%. It's okay. And I'm learning to code right now. Here's the thing though. I would prefer in-person learning to code. I also have a lot of movies I like to put. Like, I have one stuff for game, and that's pretty much being filled up right now, almost. And now there's another shelf for movies, and I'm like, I might need to get a bigger media shelf eventually. But yeah. Aside from that, and I'm thinking about getting into anime, don't worry, I do want to get into it. But it's going to have to be gradual. Not immediate, it's going to be a gradual introduction, but yeah. I'm worried about, the reason why I'm trying to push anime away, it's not because I don't. It has Flow on it. Wait, Flow is, oh, that's interesting. That's on the apps section. Steam. It needs to be below recent games. If you think about it like this, right? You kind of think about it. You really think about it. I do think. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna test something real quick on this. I'm gonna test if this works with it. Well, yeah, it's a game that's coming out for the NES. That's the demo and other platforms. That's on Steam. Playing on hard as balls. Yeah, that's a difficulty setting in it. But yeah, I'm gonna test this, by the way. Yikes, my computer has these issues sometimes. I need to fix that issue real badly. Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, I am learning to code. I need to fix that issue on my computer. Eli did it on a past computer, so I'm gonna need to tell Eli he needs to do it here. Now. But yeah, I'm not a fan of what they did to Star Wars anyways. I am a fan of the Jedi games. Don't worry, that is goated. The Jedi games are goated. They're like Star Souls, basically, but for like newbies to the Souls genre, which is wild. Let's see, Sonic CD. I still have Sonic CD on this Steam library. The original version of it. Trying to see what could work on this. But yeah, I'm gonna need to configure a few things. Like there are some very but yeah. Introduction personal as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, I might need it. I'm recording this. So hello there, class. My name is Caleb James Smith. Broomfield. I'm not happy about Disney ruining Star Wars. I hope Atari, and I know Atari listed Disney as one of the brands, but now I'm starting to realize why they listed that. Because all the other brands are luxury brands, and they know what Disney's trying to become. They're not trying to become a actual family brand. They're becoming a luxury brand at this rate, which is wild. Colorado. Colorado. So, yeah. Born. So that's an update I'm gonna have to update you guys with. As for a gaming PC, I am gonna have to build a new version of it. I prefer to have a graphics card in my computers anyways, regardless of whether I'm gaming or not, because there are some intensive tasks that require graphics cards, and I'm like, compare that to like Star Wars, right? And I'm not happy with it, but here's the thing, right? Are you ready for this? Are you ready? I'm not happy with what they did to Star Wars, right? Oh yeah, my first anime. I pinned the third of the first. Because my mom banned me from anime until I was an adult. And my first manga, believe it or not, not even manga, and I'm not even gonna count this when I get an actual real manga. Might have to be Berserk. But technically, this is my first. I do want to read up to see what they're gonna do, what they could end up doing for the film version of Ocarina of Time. So yeah, I'm not happy with what they've done to Star Wars, though. I mean, the way they've handled that franchise is so narcissistic, so like on the wall, like wrong, and so ridiculous. I can't even imagine there being any other way they could have done it wrong. Or the only way I think they actually, yeah, I can. The only way I think they could have done it worse is if they turned it into a literal YouTube poop and just mocked the fans and had the characters do stupid things worse than like what they've already done. Like have them throw a party with Luke throw a party with like Darth Vader and it all becomes family business. But yeah, I'm not happy with what they managed to do to Star Wars. Like, it's sad, right? But Elon, I don't like Elon. I set a booby trap for him I hope works. I don't like Steve Jobs either. I'll admit, Steve Jobs created a whole culture of eye slaves. Or eye cultists, or whatever. They're basically eye cultists, not slaves. In a way, you can say that, but I prefer to call them now eye cultists. Because I think iPhone's a great brand, but and I would be willing to develop for them alongside Android, but what Steve Jobs did was he basically associated the word. He basically just made a bunch of stupid, like in my gaming headcanon, I don't consider mobile part of my real headcanon. Outside of Fortnite Mobile and Minecraft Mobile. He has a few retro game ports, which is wild that they do that. Phones aren't really meant for playing games. Computers, they can. They weren't originally meant for that. That's why they have the console. But the computers have been doing some really crazy stuff in terms of gaming. I need to figure out how to I think the main reason why my computer is having some issues is there's a lot of old cache. Even my old laptop from 2015, I think, or 2014. One of those is probably from 2014. And that cache could still be on there, and I might need to figure out how to deal with that. So yeah, PS5 Pro delayed. I don't want to have to delay it, but it might have to be done by.